The stars were quiet that night. In the dark silence of space, a small listening station floated near the edge of a forgotten star system. It was old, rusted, and powered by fading solar panels. No one thought it mattered anymore. Inside the station, a human named Elias watched the empty sky. He had worked on the station for almost a year. Most people called it boring, but Elias didn't mind. He liked the silence. It gave him time to think. He was sipping his recycled coffee when the screen in front of him lit up. It was a signal. A strange one. Elias blinked. The message wasn't from Earth. It wasn't even human. He leaned closer. The signal was old, weak, and broken, but it was real. His heart started to beat faster. Elias tapped the keys and ran the message through the translation system. Words slowly formed on the screen, to any who can hear. Please help us. ... We are not your enemy. Our home is gone. ... He sat back, stunned. An alien distress call? From who? From where? The signal had come from deep space, far beyond known. Maps. It wasn't from a nearby race. It was something different. Elias quickly opened a channel to Earth Command. This is listening post 47. I've received a strange signal. Not human. Please advise. The reply came minutes later. Understood. Post 47. Transmit the signal. Stay on alert. Elias obeyed, but he couldn't stop thinking about the message. What kind of alien would send a cry for help to humanity? A2. Days passed. Then a ship arrived. It was small, damaged, and quiet. It looked nothing like human technology. The outer hull was cracked and scorched, moved slowly, carefully, like a lost traveler finding the road again. The station shook gently as the ship docked. Elias grabbed his helmet, put on his suit, and walked down the narrow hallway to the docking port. The air hissed as the door opened. Inside stood a tall creature with soft green skin, long eyes, and a calm expression. It looked weak but peaceful. The alien raised its arms. We mean no harm, it said, its voice shaky through the translator. Please, may we speak to someone? Elias stared in awe. This was the first alien he had ever seen, and it was asking for help. He nodded slowly. Come inside. The alien was not alone. Two others followed, smaller and younger. They looked around with wide, nervous eyes. Elias led them to the main room. He offered them food and water, not knowing if they would eat. To his surprise, they did slowly, with gratitude. We are called the Ilari, the first alien said. Our world was destroyed by a force we do not understand. We traveled far, seeking help. Many turned us away, but your signal reached us. We came with hope. Elias listened. He asked careful questions. The Ilari told him about their journey, their losses, and their fear. But why us? Elias asked. Why come to humans? The Ilari looked at each other, and the first one answered, Because. You're kind. You are different. Stories of Earth have spread through the stars. Some fear you, others admire you. We have heard you help those who ask, even if they are strangers we believed. You might be our last chance. Elias sat quietly. He thought about the stories he had heard, 2 stories of humanity standing. Strong, of Earth rising from struggle to greatness, of humans helping when others ran. I don't know what Earth will say, Elias admitted, but I will send your message. I'll stay with you until we get an answer. The Ilari bowed their heads. Thank you, human. That night Elias sat at his station again, watching the stars. But he didn't feel alone anymore. Something had changed. For the first time, he realized that the galaxy was watching Earth. And now, Earth had a choice to make. Would they answer the call? Asterisk, the message from Elias reached Earth Command within minutes. But the decision would take time. High-level meetings were held. Some leaders were curious. Others were cautious. No one wanted to take a risk without understanding who the Ilari were. Meanwhile, the Ilari stayed aboard the station. Elias did his best to make them feel safe. He gave them warm blankets and let them rest in the old crew quarters. The youngest Ilari, a child named Saru, often watched the stars through the window. She seemed quiet, but her eyes were full of questions. Elias noticed this. One evening, he sat beside her. "Do you miss your home?" he asked gently. Saru nodded. It was green, full of light. Now it's gone. Elias didn't know what to say, but he reached into his bag and took out a small plant, just a simple one he kept near his desk. "You can keep this," he said. "It's from Earth." Saru smiled for the first time. Back in the command center, Elias kept checking for updates. Finally, after 2 long days, Earth Command replied, "You are instructed to keep the Ilari safe. A diplomatic ship is being sent. Estimated arrival, 48 hours. Maintain communication. Observe all activity." Elias shared the news with the Ilari. They seemed relieved, but still cautious. "Your people are kind," said the leader, whose name was Raylon, "but not all will trust us." Elias nodded. "That's true. Some humans fear what they don't know, but others, they believe in helping." Raylon looked thoughtful. "Perhaps that is why we came." Later, while checking the Ilari's ship, Elias noticed something odd. The damage on the hull was strange, not just from space travel. It looked targeted, like someone had attacked them. He called Raylon. "This doesn't look like an accident," Elias said. "Who did this to you?" Raylon hesitated. "We're not sure. They called themselves the Varnock. They came from nowhere, and they didn't speak. They only destroyed. I think they are still searching for survivors." Elias frowned. "Do they know you came here?" Raylon didn't answer. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the Varnock. If they were still out there, and if they learned the Ilari had come to Earth. He shook his head. "No," he whispered. "They won't get to them. Not here." The next morning, a bright flash appeared on the long-range scanner. Elias rushed to the console. A ship was approaching. Fast. But it wasn't the Earth's diplomatic ship. It was something else. He called Earth Command. Unidentified vessel detected, approaching at high speed, not responding to hails. Seconds later, the Ilari saw the alert. Their faces turned pale. "It's them," Raylon said quietly. "It's the Varnock." Elias felt a chill. It's like, then we need to act now. He activated the station's defense, shield a weak but working system. Then he sent a priority signal to Earth. "Emergency. Hostile ship incoming. Request backup. Immediate response required." The Varnock ship stopped just outside weapon range. It didn't fire. It simply floated there, silent. Watching hours passed. Elias kept checking the scanners. The Ilari stayed in the safe room, hidden. Then a second signal came through. Is this Earth's diplomatic ship Unity arriving? "In 2 hours? Receiving your distress call? Hold position." Elias felt relief. But he knew the Varnock could attack any second. The station wasn't built for a fight. If the Varnock fired, they would all be gone in seconds. So he made a decision. He sent a message to the Varnock ship. "This is a human outpost. You are trespassing. Leave now." No reply. Elias sent another message. "You are not welcome here. We protect our guests." Still silence. But the message was sent. The line was drawn. Raylon watched from the doorway. "You are brave," he said. Elias shook his head. "I just don't like bullies." Soon another light appeared on the scanner. The Earth ship was arriving. It was larger, stronger, and fully armed. The Unity moved between the station and the Varnock vessel. A message came from the Earth ship. "Unknown vessel. You are being tracked. Leave now or face response." For a moment, the Varnock ship did. Nothing then, without a word, it turned. Slowly it moved away and vanished into the stars. The danger had passed. Elias let out a long breath. The Ilari came out of the safe room. Saru hugged her small plant tightly. The Earth ship hailed the station. "Listening post 47, this is Unity. You did well. Prepare. For docking, we'll take the Ilari home." Elias smiled. "Copy that." As the ships aligned, Elias looked out the window again. The stars still shone quietly. But now he knew Earth was no longer just watching the galaxy. Earth was part of it, and someone had noticed. The Earthship Unity docked gently with the old listening station. Its hull gleamed silver against the dark sky, a symbol of hope and protection. From its airlock, a group of humans in dark blue uniforms stepped out. Their commander was a calm woman named Captain Mira Hale. Elias greeted her at the docking port. "Captain Hale," he said, shaking her hand. "Thank you for coming," she smiled. "You did the right thing, Elias. Earth is proud of your actions." Behind her, doctors and engineers moved quickly. They checked the Alari ship and helped. The alien guests onto the Unity. Saru, the youngest, held tightly to Elias's plant. She didn't want to let go of it. "Is she okay?" Captain Hale asked, watching the small child. "She's strong," Elias said, "but she's been through a lot." The Alari were moved into safe quarters aboard the Unity. Medical scans showed they were tired but healthy. The crew treated them with kindness and respect. Later, in the Unity's briefing room, Captain Hale met with Raylan, the Alari leader. Elias sat beside them, listening. "We thank you for your help," Raylan said. "But the Varnock may not stop. They do not forgive. They do not forget." Captain Hale nodded. "We've studied the data you gave us. They're a real threat. Earth won't run. If they come again, they'll find we're not easy to scare." Raylan looked surprised. "Many species hide when the Varnock appear." "That's not how humans work," Elias said. Hale leaned forward. "We'll take you to Earth for full protection. Then we'll decide what to do next, if others are still running from the Varnock. Maybe it's time someone stood up." For the first time, Raylan looked hopeful. The next day, the Unity jumped into faster-than-light travel. The stars blurred as the ship moved across space toward Earth. Inside, the mood was calm. The Alari rested. The human crew kept busy, and Elias, who had never left the station before, stared out the window in wonder. "It's beautiful," he whispered. He sat in the mess hall later that evening. Captain Hale joined him with 2 cups of tea. "You did something important, Elias," she said. "You reminded us why we're out here." "I just answered a call," he replied. She shook her head. "No, you made a choice. You helped someone who needed you. That matters." Elias smiled. "Didn't feel like a big thing at the time, but now I guess it does." Suddenly, the ship's alarm buzzed softly. "Attention," said a voice. Over the speaker, "We have a signal. It's a broadcast, coming from an Alari frequency." Captain Hale stood. "Bridge." Now, Elias followed her. On the bridge, a message played on the screen. It showed another Alaria male, wounded and hiding in a dark place. His voice was weak but clear. "To any Alaria, we are few. You're hunted. But we live, hidden near the moons of Sullen. If help comes, we will come too." The message ended. Everyone was silent for a moment. "There are survivors," Elias said. Captain Hale turned to Raylan, who had entered quietly. "Do you know this place?" Raylan's eyes were wide. Sullen is deep in unclaimed space. The Varnock searched. "Their last? We thought no one escaped." Hal looked at her officers. "How far?" "3 days if we turn now," said the navigator. She nodded. "Plot a course." Elias blinked. "We're going just like that?" Captain Hale looked at him. "You said it yourself. Someone has to help." Raylan stepped forward. "If we can save them, we must try. They are my people." Elias looked at the stars outside. "Then let's bring them home." The Unity changed course and jumped again into the deep dark. As the stars shifted once more, everyone on board felt the same. Hope. The mission was no longer just about safety. It was about rescue. About standing for those who had no voice. As the ship moved forward, Saru walked quietly into the bridge, holding her plant close. She looked up at Elias. "Will we find them?" she asked softly. He smiled and knelt beside her. "Yes, we'll find them, I promise." And this time he meant it. The Unity moved silently through deep space. Stars passed by like distant candles. The crew worked without rest, each one knowing they were on an important mission. They were heading toward the moons of Sullen, where survivors from the Alari species might still be hiding. Captain Hale stood on the bridge, arms crossed. Her eyes watched the stars, but her thoughts were on the message. A weak voice calling for help. Lost and afraid. We'll reach Sullen in 20 hours, said the navigator. Good, she replied. Keep scanning for any signs of the Varnock. I want no surprises. Elias sat beside Raylan in the observation deck. They had become good friends over the last few days. Raylan's face looked calm, but Elias could tell he was worried. You think they're still alive? Elias asked. Raylan nodded slowly. I hope so. We sent many ships away when our world was attacked. Most were lost. But this message, it means at least one group survived. I'm glad we're going after them, Elias said. No one should be left behind. Raylan looked at him with soft eyes. Your people are strange. Many species fear danger. You run toward it. Elias chuckled. It's kind of a human thing. Later, Saru joined them. She still carried the small earth plant Elias had given her. Its leaves were now green and bright. She held it carefully, like it was a treasure. Do you think they'll have children there too? She asked quietly. Raylan smiled and placed a hand on her shoulder. Maybe, and they'll be very happy to see you. Saru smiled back. Hours passed. The ship grew quiet. The stars ahead became brighter then. The alarm rang. Unknown ship detected, said the voice from the bridge. Captain Hale rushed to the control panel. The screen showed a dark vessel floating near the largest moon of Sullen. It had no lights, no signal, but everyone knew what it was. The Varnock whispered one of the officers. Elias and Raylan entered the bridge. How many? Raylan asked. Just one ship, Hale said, but heavily armed. Do they see us? Elias asked. Not yet, replied the officer. We're staying hidden behind a small asteroid field. We can't get closer without being seen. Everyone fell silent. The survivors might be down there. But the Varnock were already watching the moon. We need a plan, Captain Hale said. We can't risk the whole ship. We also can't leave those people behind. Elias raised his hand. I'll go. Captain Hale looked surprised. Go where? To the moon. I'll take a scout pod. Small, fast, and hard to track. I'll land quietly and search for the signal. If I find the survivors, I'll send a location beacon. Then you can come in and rescue them. It's too dangerous, Hale said firmly. You're not trained. For that, Raylan stepped forward. I'll go with him. I know how to read LRE signals. And if there are survivors, they'll trust me. Captain Hale paused, thinking the plan was risky. But waiting too long might mean losing lives. She nodded. All right, you leave in 1 hour. Careful. Inside the small scout pod, Elias and Raylan checked their controls. The ship was barely bigger than a car. It had stealth plating and soft engines, perfect for silent landings. You sure about this? Elias asked as the countdown began. Yes, Raylan replied. We have to try. The pod launched quietly from Unity. It curved around the asteroid field, then dropped toward the moon's surface. The Varnock ship didn't move. They hadn't noticed. Clouds of dust rose as the pod landed. The moon was dark, covered in gray. Rock and deep caves. Signal came faintly from the western ridge. Elias and Raylan climbed out and began walking. Air was cold and thin, but their suits protected them. They moved fast but quiet. After 20 minutes, they found it. A cave. Half hidden under a rocky slope. Inside, a soft blue light flickered. Raylan called out in his native language. At first, there was silence. Then a voice answered. Moments later, a group of tired, thin Alari stepped out of the cave. There were 20 of them. Some were older, some were children. But they were alive. One of them ran forward and hugged Raylan. Came, she whispered. Elias smiled. He activated his beacon. They're real, he said into his mic. We found them. Send the Unity. But before they could celebrate, a loud roar echoed through the sky. They looked up. The Varnock ship had seen them, and it was coming. The sky above the rocky moon turned dark as the Varnock ship began to descend. A loud humming sound filled the air, and the ground started to shake. Dust rose from the cliffs as the large black vessel moved closer. Elias stepped in front of the Ilari survivors. Stay back, he said firmly. We'll protect you. Raylan looked up, his eyes wide with fear. They must have seen the beacon. The group had no weapons. They had no armor. Only a small scout pod and courage. But Elias didn't think about fear. He thought about the people behind him, scared, tired, and hoping for help. Unity is on the way, he said. We just need to hold on. Far above, Captain Hale saw everything through the ship's cameras. Prepare for emergency landing, she shouted. We're not leaving them behind. The Unity turned sharply, diving toward the moon. Inside, the crew moved quickly, powering shields, charging engines, and checking for a safe path between the rocks. Back on the ground, Elias helped the Alari move deeper into the cave. Raylan stayed near the entrance, watching the Varnock ship settle on the nearby ridge. The enemy ship didn't speak, just opened its side doors. Out came machine stall, spider-like walkers made of dark metal. They had red lights on their heads and sharp legs that cut into the rock. There were 6 of them, and they were heading straight toward the cave. Elias looked at Raylan. We can't fight them. We'll have to delay them. Raylan nodded. Give the others time. Elias picked up a flare from the pod and lit it. The red light flickered in his hand. He ran away from the cave, toward the east, waving the flare. Hey, he shouted. Over here. 3 of the spider machines turned and followed him, moving fast across the rocks. Raylan did the same on the west side. He used sound signals to distract the other machines. His voice echoed across the cliffs, and the remaining 3 followed. The noise. Inside the cave, the Alari survivors stayed low. The children held hands. Saru clutched her plant tightly, hiding behind a rock. Suddenly, a new sound filled the air. It was the Unity, the Earth. Ship broke through the clouds and hovered above the moon's surface. Its bright lights flashed like a rising sun. Voice came from the speakers. This is the Unity. We are here for rescue. Hold your position. A ramp dropped from the ship. Human soldiers in light armor ran out, weapons ready. They moved toward the cave, scanning for the Alari. Follow us. One shouted. We'll get you to safety. The Alari moved quickly, helping the children and the weak. They climbed the ramp as the soldiers covered them. Meanwhile, Elias was still running. The spider machines were close behind. He reached a narrow cliff and stopped. Now or never, he whispered. He stepped aside just as the lead machine charged forward. Its heavy legs hit the edge and it fell over the side, crashing onto the rocks below, one down, but the other 2 kept coming. Suddenly, a sharp beam of light shot from above. The Unity had locked onto the machines. One laser, then another. Both enemy walkers were destroyed in seconds. Elias fell to his knees, breathing hard. Thanks, he said into his cum. Captain Hale's voice replied, Get to the ship now. On. The other side, Raylan was cornered by the last 3 machines. They moved slowly, blocking his path. He looked for a way out, but there was nothing but rock walls. Then a loud bang shook the ground. A large transport vehicle rolled in, driven by one of the Unity's crew. It smashed into the nearest machine, knocking it down. 2 more laser shots followed. The last machines collapsed. Raylan was safe. The Unity's ramp stayed open until the last person was on board. Elias and Raylan climbed in together, covered in dust but smiling. Captain Hale met them inside. You 2 are either the bravest or the craziest people I've ever seen. Maybe both, Elias said with a grin. The Alari survivors were given water, food, and warm blankets. Saru sat next to Elias and whispered, You came back? I told you I would, he replied. Later, the Unity left the moon and jumped back into deep space. Everyone on board felt the same thing. Relief. They had faced the Varnock and won not with power, but with courage, teamwork, and a promise to never leave anyone behind. Raylan stood near the window with Elias. You gave my people more than safety. Raylan said, You gave them hope. Elias nodded. Sometimes that's the strongest thing we have. Asterisk. The Unity traveled through deep space once more. Inside the ship, things were quiet. The danger had passed, but the memory of it was still fresh. The Alari survivors were safe now, resting in soft beds under warm blankets. The children were sleeping. The adults spoke softly among themselves, grateful to be alive. Elias stood in the main hallway, looking at the stars through a long glass window. The silence felt peaceful this time. He thought about everything that had happened, the signal, the rescue, the Varnock, and the people they saved. Raylan walked up beside him. "We owe you everything," he said quietly. Elias shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Just did what was right." Raylan placed a hand on the glass. "Still, you listened when no one else did." That made all the difference. Captain Hale called both of them to the command deck. The officers had news. "The Varnak ship is gone," said the navigator. "But our scanners picked up something. Strange, a trail, like a beacon or a signal path." Captain Hale leaned forward. "It's possible the Varnock sent a message before they left. Maybe they're calling for others." Elias frowned. "More could be coming." "We don't know yet," said the officer. "We can't ignore the risk." Captain Hale looked at Raylan. "What do you know about the Varnock? Have they done this before, track survivors, then return later?" Raylan nodded slowly. "Yes, they don't like to leave anything behind. If they know we escaped, they may follow us to your world." The room went quiet. Then Elias spoke. "Then we need to prepare. Earth has to know what's coming." "Captain," Hola agreed. "We're heading back. Once we arrive, the Alari will be protected, and we'll meet with the Earth Council. If the Varnock are truly planning something, we must be ready." As the ship moved forward, the crew began to prepare reports. Raylan and the Alari shared what they knew about the Varnock, their ships, their tactics, and their silence. They didn't speak or ask for peace. They simply destroyed. The Unity's engineers used this data to update Earth's defense systems. Messages were sent ahead to warn command. Back in the living quarters, Saru was drawing pictures on a tablet Elias had given her. She showed one to him. It was a small figure standing in front of a big ship, holding a light. "That's you." She said, "You brought light when everything was dark." Leah smiled. "That's a nice way to say it." She nodded. "Will it stay light forever?" He paused for a moment, then replied, "We'll do our best." A few days later, Earth appeared in the distance, a beautiful blue and green planet, glowing softly in space. The Alari gathered at the window, their faces full of wonder. "So this is your world," Raylan whispered. Elias nodded. "Home." The Unity moved into orbit and sent a request to land. Earth Command responded quickly. A special area had been prepared just for the Alora, safe, private, and peaceful. As the ship touched down, porters, scientists, and leaders waited nearby. But they stayed back, respectful and quiet. The world was watching, but no one wanted to make the Alari feel afraid. The ramp lowered. Raylan stepped out first, followed by the survivors. Saru walked beside Elias, still holding the small plant he had given her. It was growing taller now. The crowd didn't cheer. They simply watched with soft eyes. A moment of silence, a moment of hope. Then the Earth Council arrived. They invited Raylan, Elias, and Captain Hale into a large meeting hall. There, they shared everything what had happened, what they had seen, and what might come next. The council listened carefully. When the reports were done, one of the senior members stood. "You did not just save lives," she said. He reminded us who we are. Earth stands with the Alari, and if danger comes again, we will not hide. Raylan bowed his head. "We are grateful, and we will stand with you too." After the meeting, Elias walked outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in gold and orange. Saru came to stand next to him. "Will we stay here now?" she asked. "For now, yes," he said. "You're safe here." She looked at the horizon. "It's pretty." "It is," he said. "But it's not just pretty. It's strong, like you." That night, lights across Earth twinkled like stars. People everywhere heard the story, the one about a listening station, signal from far away, and a promise kept, and in the stars above, something unseen moved in the dark. The Varnock were not finished, but neither was Earth. Asterisk. Earth's skies were bright as the sun rose on a new day. People looked up, unaware of the silent threats far beyond their world. But inside the secure compound, where the Alari had been welcomed, things were busy and tense. Scientists and engineers worked side by side with Alari experts. Together, they studied the data from the Varnock and their attack patterns. Every detail mattered. Captain Hale led a team preparing Earth's defenses. She knew the Varnock might return, and Earth had to be ready. New shields were tested. Were upgraded. Communication lines were improved. But more important than weapons was the message spreading through Earth's people. We must be united. Captain Hale told a room full of officers and diplomats, not just strong with technology, but strong in spirit. Elias watched from the side, thinking back to his days on the small listening station, how far things had come. Raylan stood beside him. Your people have great strength, he said, softly, not just in battle, but in heart. Elias smiled. That's what we hope. The Alari had begun to rebuild their culture in their new home. They taught Earth's people their history, their songs, and their ways. Children from both species played together. Saru had made new friends and laughed more than Elias had seen since their journey began. But not everything was easy. Some humans still felt afraid. Afraid of the unknown. Afraid of the Varnock's silence. Raylan understood this. Fear is natural. He said one evening to Elias, but it can be overcome. Elias nodded. It takes time and courage. Meanwhile, deep in space, the Varnock fleet moved slowly toward Earth. Their ships were like dark shadows against the stars. They didn't speak. They didn't show mercy. They only waited for the right moment. One night, the Unity detected the fleet on long-range scanners. Captain Hale gathered her crew. This is not a warning, she said. It is a call to action. Leah stood beside her. We've faced them before. And we stood together. Raylan raised his hand. We will stand with you. The crew prepared for what might come. We're ready. Earth's defenses were online. People everywhere hoped for peace. Then, a message came from the Varn. It was not spoken. It was a simple code sent through the stars. We are coming. No one knew if it was a threat or a challenge. But everyone knew one thing. Earth and the Alari, not run. The days passed slowly. Elias spent time with Saru in the gardens outside the compound. The small plant he had given her had grown into a strong, green tree. They sat beneath its branches, talking quietly. Do you think the Varnock will come? Saru asked. I don't know, Elias said. But if they do, we will face them. Together, she smiled. I like that. In the night sky, stars twinkled like silent watchers. Was ready, not just with ships and weapons, but with hope and courage. The galaxy was watching, and Earth was saying, we are here. We are not afraid. Asterisk. The night before the Varnock fleet was due to arrive, Earth held its breath. People everywhere watched the sky, wondering what the next day would bring. In the secure compound, Elias stood with Captain Hale and Raylan. They looked out at the stars, waiting. This is the moment, Hale said quietly. But remember, we are not alone. Raylan nodded. Our people stand with you, and the galaxy watches. Suddenly, the starry sky changed. A bright light appeared far away, growing larger and stronger. The Varnock fleet was coming, but Earth's defenders were ready. Ships in orbit moved into position. Shield generators hummed. Communications buzzed with quiet strength. The Varnock ship stopped just outside the shield perimeter. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a voice echoed across the void. It was Raylan, speaking through Earth's translators. We do not want war, he said, but we will protect our home and all who live here. The Varnock responded not with words, but with a powerful pulse of energy. It tested the shields, but the defenses held strong. Captain Hale ordered the fleet to stand firm. Show them Earth is ready. The Varnock sent another pulse. This time, a small ship moved forward. Carrying a single figure, it was an envoy. Raylan met the envoy in the space between ships. The alien's face was hidden behind dark armor, but its eyes showed something unexpected curiosity. "We seek understanding," the envoy said. "Your courage surprised us," Raylan replied. "We seek peace, but we will defend what is right." The envoy paused. "Then let us talk." Inside the Unity, humans and Alari gathered. They spoke for hours, sharing stories of loss and hope, of fear and strength. The Varnock envoy told of a dark past, the history of silence and destruction, but also a desire to change. Earth offered friendship and help. The stars seemed to listen. Days passed, and the Varnock fleet withdrew, leaving space for peace. Back on Earth, celebrations were quiet but full of joy. People hugged, smiled, and looked to the future. Elias stood beside Saru. Beneath the growing tree, "We made it," she said. "We did," Elias replied. Raylan joined them. "Together, we changed the galaxy." The tree's leaves rustled softly in the wind. It was a symbol of new beginning. As night fell, the sky was full of stars, bright and alive. Earth was no longer alone. It was home.